What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916. You tuned into another Fresh Out interview. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, and subscribe to the channel. I'm here with my man Chad. You know, we've been kicking a lot of military stories. This guy right here, man, I've known him for over a decade, and good dude. And I just wanted to get him on here to share his insight on what he's been through when he was in the Navy. Chad, I know you served in the Navy and even had your little run-ins while you were in there. And could you share with our viewers, man, how things went down while you were in?
Yeah, so I left Japan, went off to Lackland Air Force Base to train to be a police officer, a law enforcement specialist. Went off to my station in Pearl Harbor, and I was fighting out there with Hard Knocks, boxing gym, doing little MMA stuff. Met a few really cool people, and I had a lot of stuff going on at home. Starting the process of taking custody of my little sister. I was only 22 years old. Like, I didn't really know much about anything at that point. And I think I just started to lean on certain crutches that almost opened up a door that I couldn't close. One day I was hanging out at the beach, having a good day, and I get a call. Hey man, you need to go home. I don't know what's going on, but they're going to raid your house right now. So I went home and I said, okay, well, I'm gonna be there when they get there. At this point I'm thinking all types of things. So I go and I had a little weed, and I shouldn't have, but I smoked some just to relax myself. And they come through the door, boom. And one of the guys that had to put handcuffs on me was stationed with me in Japan. He's crying. He's like, I don't want to do this. I told him, you got to do your job. Go for it. So he cuffs me up. They're going through my house. They don't find anything. Bring me into interrogation. And again, at this point, I'm pretty much, I wasn't drinking, wasn't partying, wasn't doing anything crazy. I smoked some weed, to ease my mind with all the drama. But outside of that, I was pretty gung-ho. They were accusing me of doing steroids, which I wasn't. I was just spending like $300 a week at GNC. They bring me in for interrogation. They're asking me all these questions, and I don't have anything to say. I say, I smoke weed. That's it. Here's my statement. I smoke weed. So I'm thinking I'm going home now. It's been a few hours, and they say, all right, let's go. I'm like, all right, I'm going home. I'm done. I finished this. And they said, no, you're going to the hospital. You got your pre-confinement physical. And now I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, for what? Well, there's a pending case going on, and the people feel threatened by you, so we're going to put you in solitary until we figure this whole thing out. So I go into solitary. Right away, I think it is 72 hours you're supposed to be in there and at least have a charge at that point. And at this point, I did not have a charge yet. I'm going in 5 days, 6 days. Well, there's this person they're looking for that happened to be one of my buddies that was also a police officer. And I'm like, okay, well, if this guy just says whatever he wants, he could say something false, and they're going to hold me. And, I wake up the 6th day, and you're reporting, detainee Boyer, confinement number, blah, 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 blah. And I feel someone staring at me across the way. It's like 5 in the morning. I look over, and who is this? My buddy Pedro. What's up? What's up? And, I'm like, I was never so happy to be in solitary looking at that stupid face across from me. I was like, thank you. It was a real one. And, so go through the process, get me out of solitary, put me in, gem pop, walking through, going to the cafeteria. And again, I worked out a lot. It's a small island. And there was this one captain who happened to be the warden of Fort Island Brig. And one of the most humiliating times, because he, looked at me like this fine young man, And here I am walking through the cafeteria in the brig, and he says, what'd you do? I said, I messed up. I didn't want to look at him. I didn't want to make eye contact. And he says, look at me. I said, I can't. It was humiliating because all of a sudden I was no longer that fine young man he once thought I was, regardless if what I did was or was not true. So they tell me in my pretrial I'm facing this many years. They think I'm trafficking drugs to other military bases. Completely false. They have no proof. They're just trying to make something stick. So they eventually have to let me out. They let me out for a while, and NCIS comes to me and they say, hey, this is going to be your house, wired up, mic'd up. We want you to do this. And I said, I'm not interested. I'm not going to be a narc. So that's all right. I don't want to do this. Like, well, what do you want? I said, well, I don't want to be here anymore. They walked me through my whole division, shackled up like Hannibal Lecter, and it was like, again, it just broke me. So I chose not to do that. I told him I want out. I said, all right, that's fine. You can be out. We're going to take everything from you. So after 5 years, after, a deployment, after all the hard work, all the tears, the blood, the sweat, everything, they ripped it all from me, for, thinking I was a tough guy or something, And unfortunately, after that, being a straight edge kid to being told I'm just a piece of shit, you start to emulate those things. The hate you give little infants fucks everybody, thug life. And I really personified that. I said, well, if I'm just a piece of shit, then that's what it is. And it took me years to really dig down and figure it out and change. And here I am today, and walking proof that it's possible.
So once we got out the military, man, after that, I mean, you're kind of, trying to figure out like, damn, man, now all that work and I have nothing to show for. I mean, where were you at mentally, man? I mean, did you, when you got out, where'd you go?
So when I got out, I was lucky enough that my grandmother, such a sweet lady, R.I.P., took me in and, guided me, pushed me in the right direction. I was a good-looking young man, and started hanging out in L.A., met a couple people. My brother and I started a little business where we drove around dancers to private parties, and business started doing pretty well. From there, I got other offers to be a driver for certain people, and just kind of went from there and just kept moving up and got into the Hollywood scene, got into the being a knucklehead, being crazy. Did a couple fashion shows, and that's when I kind of found out that the casting couch wasn't about the women anymore. It was a strange place to be. Went to a couple industry parties, and saw a couple cool things, but a couple dark things as well.
Yeah, it's funny you said the casting couch, man, because I think I told you this story before, man, and I don't know if I shared it with the viewers, man, but I was I had did adult films, but then working on doing this regular stuff, I'm like, oh, over here you ain't got to do all that. I'm trying to get out of that and be a regular actor. So I'm like, okay, and I was reaching out to different agents, managers, and stuff like this, and I can recall going to an audition for I want to say maybe some underwear ad or something, because I was in good shape, young, and they said when you go in there and they actually take your shirt off, get completely butt naked. I said, damn, completely butt naked? I mean, it's not porn though, man. I thought this was the real stuff over here. And I'm like, well, I'm telling you, man, to get butt naked and it'll be favorable for you. So it's right off of Sunset, nice hotel. I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is some professional shit. I go in there, there's like maybe three guys, hotel room, and I'm down there in the lobby with some other guys, I'm like, oh, I'm in better shape than these dudes. And so I went up there, and they called me up, and I went up there, and I said, oh, can you, take your shirt off? I took my shirt off, and I was pretty ripped, and then they're waiting. I'm waiting. They're waiting. I'm waiting. And I said, oh, okay, you can put your shirt back on. And so I went downstairs, right? And I'm like, damn, man, should I have gotten naked or what? So then I see this other guy pull up in a Corvette. He walk in there, and they like, oh, he gets a lot of gigs. I'm like, damn, okay, little dude, blonde-haired dude. He looked like he's in good shape. And I'm like, damn, I wonder how he's getting all the gigs. So then they have, there's a party on Hollywood Boulevard, and the photographer who shoots for all these, Vanity, Muscle and Fitness, all these magazines, GQ. And I show up at the party with my girl at the time, and I see the photographer, and then the dudes who were at the shoot, he's in the middle, and they're all dancing around him, gigging. I'm like, oh man, that's what's going on, man. I'm not, you got to be down. I know you seeing, because you're a good dude, and the thing is, seeing him, can we get him? You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, every time you're back in the dressing room at one of these little fashion shows, you got the guys trying to, oh, here, you're going to wear it like this. So like, get your hands off. I know exactly what you do. You ain't slick. That's slick.
Oh man, yeah, cause yeah, it's definitely for people, on the other side. They think, oh, the women, they're doing this and that, but the guys don't want to talk about it because it's like, dude, I don't want nobody to know about this part. But it's like a whole nother side for males, especially in fashion, and trying to get into that because these guys say, oh man, look at you, you big chocolate thing, or blah 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 blah. And you're like, oh man, come on, man. You know what I mean? It's like, can we just get to the professional side of this?
Yeah.
So I know it's pretty crazy. I mean, having been to some of them parties and seeing the dark side, I mean, is there anything that really stands like you're like, God, man, that shit was great in retrospect, and how these young people can, see something so they don't get caught up? Something that you could share that's not too crazy?
Let's see. Really, I mean, you see a lot of these young rappers doing it now. I mean, they're leaving the whole label behind and starting their own label company, so you can make your own rules. Otherwise, you're just getting pimped out. I mean, that's the name of the game. The game is dirty, 100%. So what I recommend, I say live your life to the fullest, you know what I mean? Go on the other side of the road, smell the roses, taste everything once. Find out what you like and what you don't like, but don't let anyone tell you what you need to be tasting.
Also, going back to that too, is making sure you don't sign something that signs your rights away. Because a lot of these dudes get involved in contracts where it's an exclusive. It's like, I get something from you for the rest of your life. So you got this guy who's claiming to be your buddy, and he signed you with you think it's an NDA, and it's a managerial contract, and you're locked in for life. So you go do anything, he's getting 10%.
Yeah.
I've seen where guys have signed contracts in music and they're performing, and this guy's like, oh, go ahead, you can go work for him, but I'm still getting 10%.
100%.
So, dudes are getting taxed. And I know you ran across a lot of entertainers because you used to know a lot of people in the music industry.
Yeah, like you said, you see people like Game and the 50 Cent, their little beef, 50 is like, go ahead, say whatever you want. I'm getting paid off everything you say. You got artists like the Beatles. I mean, these guys, this huge rock and roll band, didn't even own the rights to their music. Michael Jackson
crazy.
did. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, to think that you wrote these songs. I mean, I think now a lot of these artists are finally getting their rights back. I think some of the rights were like 50 years, and they're finally reversed. Dude, by then you don't even see it. Hopefully your grandkids see it. But yeah, you sign over these rights. I even had a guy when we were pitching Fresh Out. Oh man, I love your show, great show, blah blah blah. And we got some paperwork. We reading the paperwork, me and Big Ant. I'm like, dude, basically, we're employees of our show now. We don't even own the rights. They own the rights. They're making $10,000 a week. We get maybe $2,000 a month, and we can't go to the set. We don't have no say so on the editing, the content, and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, that's a pimp contract. I'm like, I'd rather keep doing YouTube than to sell out and say my show's on TV, but I don't own it.
Yeah, and just to think how much time you've put into it.
Dude.
So long as I've known you, you have visioned this, you've seen this, and you've made it real, which is pretty impressive, man. I mean, I watched this whole birth and growth of this empire you're creating, and it's beautiful.
Well, on top of that, just the time I did in prison, dude, I used to sit in there and just like, man, I can't wait to get out and do something with my life and this and that. And why would I turn that over to somebody who's been out here kicking it, and all they do is cherry pick from people who are hungry?
Yeah.
These different shows, man. So it's like, that wasn't worth it, man. I mean, me and you met trying to do reality show, man.
That's right.
Coincidentally,
man.
you know what I mean? I mean, me and this guy, a friend, Rick, put us together with a bunch of other guys, man. And, before he got into his career now, we were, doing the Hollywood thing, man. We would go out to the Saddle Ranch and do our thing. It was a lot of fun, man, and get together and party and do stuff, man. And
I think that had the right direction.
Yeah.
It could have gone somewhere. I think it kind of lost direction, and it was just kind of scattered all over the place, and there wasn't no real main focus and streamlined, But I think from that came the inspiration and the motivation, which pushed you along to be where you're at now. And I think that's an amazing thing.
It did. It opened my eyes going to those meetings with the different studios and stuff like that, seeing behind the scenes. I think you went to quite a few too, because you and Rick would go to a lot of meetings. I wanted to learn as much as possible about that. And they always kept saying, so what's the end game? Mm-hmm. And a lot of us didn't have an end game. It just was like whatever. We were thinking like Kardashians. There's no end game, just watching us hang out. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was a entourage kind of like on steroids.
100%.
You know, with the MMA.
Quite literally.
Quite literally, yeah. You know, we were running around and stuff, man. But the sizzle was great.
Yeah.
We had fun. I met some good people. Me and you maintained a friendship, bro,
100%.
through thick and thin.
Yes.
And, you know, I feel grateful having met you and seeing how you've evolved, you know, become a family man, and then how myself, I mean, because, dude, you know, we were, you know, back then you were in a relationship, but I was single, man, and I was on a cheek buster mission, man. I was just, I was trying to take down, you know, single, married couple, all of them, bro. I was like, man, I got to catch up. So I was trying to get my numbers up, man. And I remember we used to, you know, just go to different, you know, hang out and party, and you know, you would be putting them down. And
we went to the strip club. Remember, we had to judge for the.
Oh
the
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, when it's popping.
Yeah,
damn, bro, that was crazy. And then you had a pimp ass apartment in Hollywood.
Oh yeah,
throwing parties at that. You'd be off the chain. I go like, oh, this dude. Did he know I was here? Oh man, that part. Yeah, you had the view, man, and it's like. Shit, we were running around, man, and yeah, man, it's like those are good times, man. Hollywood Boulevard, and
those are great times.
Great times, man. Just trying to navigate, man. I'm like, dude, now it's like, in retrospect, it's how more mature we are now. And it's like, dude, settling down and looking at a bigger picture, man.
Isn't it crazy? Like in a single lifetime, we live multiple lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
It's almost like every decade is a transition into a new era. You know what I mean? I feel like right now we're in this platinum era. You know, you're going on 50.
Yeah.
Big 5-0.
I know, man. And I met you, dude. I was in my 30s. I remember we went to, dude. We went not only to that strip club, we went to that other club. I remember in like the Valley, in that same club. I remember I filmed a porn there one time. A reverse gangbang, where there was 20 chicks and there's 2 dudes. And dude, I ain't gonna lie, man. I hadn't really got into enough panani when I got out to be like, I was like, damn, it's overwhelming. You know what I mean? It's like there was a lot of chicks there.
Oh my
you
God,
know, and
awesome.
yeah, so it's crazy just like some of the places popping in and meeting different people, and how Hollywood intertwines with like the other adult scene and the club scene, and you know, people partying and you know, meeting people, man. It's like, dude, you know, yeah, it was, damn, that's been a minute, man. Because we were both young, man. I mean, shit, doing, you know, down to do whatever, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, I've gone back to Hollywood not so recent, maybe 2 years ago, and so weird how much different it is, you know, when you're a different person and you go to a place and you realize how grimy it was. And it's like, has it always been grimy? Or was I just so grimy I didn't realize how grimy it was? You know what I mean? And so, you know, it pushed me towards the beach, which is a beautiful thing, because out there I'd be surrounded by thousands of people and I felt alone. I felt isolated. I felt like there was nobody there that cared or knew me. And then I came out to the beach and I could be alone and I felt completely whole. And I think that's when my life began to change.
Do you think it was a different energy, like just being in that club? Because I know you'd go to a club and somebody said something stupid, you would, you wouldn't play no games.
Yeah, and I think that had a lot to do with my dissatisfaction with myself at the time. You know, I mean, it all boils down to that at the end of the day.
Hey, there you have it, Big Herc 916, getting our fresh out, and my man Chad. Stop walking around with a crusty butt, smelly ball sack, and a funky hoo-ha. Big Herc said, wash that ass. Pick you up a t-shirt at freshoutseries.com.